Okay, here is pre-calculus homework 1.3, page 29, 1 through 43, odd. For 1 through 5 odd, you are given some information. In this one, you're given the first term, and you're giving it the common difference is 2. These are all arithmetic sequences. They are asking you to find, they want you to find a formula to find the nth term, and then they want you to find the 5th term. They want the explicit form for the nth term, and you don't have to sketch the graph. We said not to do that. So if you're given the first term is 5 and d is 2, the explicit formula is u sub n. It's the first term plus n minus 1 times the d value. So if you know the 5 is the first term, and you have n minus 1, 2 is your common difference, you can find a formula, distribute, so you get 2n minus 2, add like terms, so 2n plus 3. Here's the explicit formula. Now to find the 5th term, u sub 5, you're going to plug a 5 in here. 2 times 5 plus 3 is 13. So that is your 5th term. Next one, number 3, you do the same way. Your explicit formula is going to be u sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. The first term is 4. N minus 1 times 1/4. So when you clean this one up, you should get, u sub n. U sub n, once you distribute, you have 1/4 n minus 1/4, and you're going to add 4. And try to write it in slope-intercept form. 4 minus 1/4 is 3 3/4. Now to find any term, you're going to plug in whatever you want. If you want the 5th term, if you plug a 5 right here, and you're going to add like terms, you're going to end up getting 5 is your 5th term. When you plug 5 in here. Next, number 5, u sub n, it's the first term plus n minus 1 times d. The first term is 10 plus n minus 1 times negative 1/2. Then when you simplify this one, you should get 10 plus negative 1/2 n plus 1/2. So you should get negative 1/2 n plus 10.5. So to find the 6th term or the 5th term, you're going to plug a 5 in here, and you should get 8 as your answer. The next 3 are sum of partial, it's a partial sum problem. They're asking you to add up the first term to the 5th term. So you need the formula k over 2, and then it's the first term in the sequence plus the last term you're adding up. Well, how many terms are you adding up? You're going to do 5 minus 1, which is 4, and add 1. So k is 5. That's what goes here. So 5 over 2. Then what you're going to do is, to figure out the first term in the sequence, you're going to plug this number in here for I. What is 3 times 1? It's 3, so that's your first term. And then the last term, which is 5, 3 times 5 is 15, that's your kth term. So if you add these up, you get 18 here. And simply multiplying 2 goes into 18 9 times. 9 times 5 is 45. So the sum of the first 5 terms of this sequence are 45. Next one. How many terms are we adding up? We're adding 16. How do you know that? Subtract and add 1. So k over 2, and then it's the first term that you're adding and the kth term. So 16 over 2, and the first term, when you plug a 1 in, you should get negative 1. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 3 is negative 1, and then 16, you're going to plug a 16 in here, and you should get 29. So what is 16 over 2? It's 8, and negative 1 plus 29 is 28. And this answer is 224. And this one we did in our notes today, but we'll do it again. How many terms are you adding up? You're going to do 36 minus 15, which is 21, and then add 1. So K is 22. Now what is the first? You're actually going to start with the 15th term, and you're going to add up to the 36th term. So 22 is K, and you're going to plug a 15 into this problem. When you plug a 15 in here, you're going to get 2 times 15 is 30, and 30 minus 8 is 22. So the 15th term, which is the first term of the sequence that you're going to add, is 22. And then the 36th term, you're going to plug a 36 in here, and you'll get 64 is your 36th term. 11 times 86, and your answer is 946 for the sum. For number 13, they are giving this to you in the same, this last same problems are like these ones, but this one, they didn't write it in summation notation. They're telling you to add 6 terms together. If the first term in the sequence is a 2, and the common difference is a 5, meaning you're adding 5 to this, so 7 would be the next term. Add 5 to that, you get 12. They want you to add the first 6 terms. Now you can obviously do this, there's only 3 more and add them together, or you can use the formula K over 2, and then the first term plus the 6th term that you'd be adding. Okay? This one would probably be easiest to do it the quick way, but if you kept this pattern going, you would see that the 6th term is 27. So the 6th term is 27. So you're going to add 6 terms divided by 2. The first term that you're adding is a 2, and 27 is the 6th term. You get 29, multiply that by 3, and you get 87. Number 15. This one, K is 7. You're adding the first 7 terms, and the first term is 3/4, and the D value is you're subtracting a half. So what is your first, your formula is K over 2 times the first term plus the 7th term. Okay, so what is the K value? It's 7. The first term is 3/4. And now, if this is going down by a half, so let's say we don't know what the 7th term is. On the side, we can use a formula to figure out what the 7th term is. And that would be U sub 7 is equal to the first term, which is 3/4, plus 7 minus 1 times -1/2. So this is a 6. 6 times -1/2 is -3. And -3 plus 3/4. So -3 plus 3 divided by 4 is -2.25. That's your 7th term. So you're going to add these up. Now, if you want to convert this, this is going to be 3.5. And this is 0.75 if you want to convert them, but you don't have to do that. So 0.75 minus 2.25, and then multiply that by 3.5, and you should get -5 and -5.25. is the answer, negative 5.25. The next one. This one you are given, the k value is 6, so k over 2 times the first term. Oh, and this one they give you the sixth term. So this should be easy to do. So if k is 6, and they give you the first term, and they give you the sixth term, it should be easy. Negative 4 plus 14 is 10, and 10 times 3 is 30. Next. Number 19. Number 19. Show that the sequence is arithmetic and find its common difference. So all you have to do is generate a few numbers and you'll see exactly where the common difference is. We talked about this in class today. If you were to plug in n is 1, if you were to put a 1 in here, you get 3 minus 2. And what is 3 minus 2? 1. So that's your first term. Then if n is 2, put a 2 in here. 3 minus 4 is negative 1. Then if n is 3, plug a 3 in here. You have 3 minus 6, which is negative 3. How are you going from 1 to negative 1? You're going down by 2. That's your common difference. You're showing that the common difference is negative 2. (21), same thing. You're going to show that this is arithmetic by plugging some numbers in. 1, 2, 3. When n is 1, you plug a 1 in here. 5 plus 3 is 8. And 8 over 2 is 4. So that would be your first term when n is 1. When n is 2, you have 5 plus 6, which is 11. 11 over 2, we're going to say 11 halves. And then we have n when n is 3. Plug a 3 in here. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 5 is 14. 14 over 2 is 7. So now what you're going to do is you're going to subtract these and make sure that you have a common difference. 11 over 2 minus 4. So get a common denominator and you get 3 halves. And then you do 7 minus 11 halves. Get a common denominator. 14 over 2 minus 11 over 2 is 3 halves. So you're showing that you have a common difference. So 3 over 2 is your D value. And the last one in this section, what you're going to do is, I'm going to show you here. If C is a constant, the first, if we plug in a 1 here, or a 2, or a 3, or a 4, these are your terms. C plus 2, C plus 4, C plus 6, C plus 8. So when you subtract the second minus the first, what's going to happen is you're going to get rid of these C's, and 4 minus 2 is 2. When you subtract the third from the second, you end up with 2, 2, 2. So 2 is your common difference. The next one. We're going to skip, we can skip 24. We don't have to do that one because it's not an odd. 25. We have the fourth term is given and the D value is given. It says use the given information to find a formula. We want a formula to find u sub 5. We want u sub 5. Well, this one's easy. And we want a formula for the nth term. So if you know the fourth term and you know it's going up by 2, the fifth term for this is very easy. You just add 2 to 12. So 12 plus 2 is 14. But to get a formula, you want u sub n is equal to first term plus n minus 1 times d. We don't know what the first term is, and that's our unknown here. But we do know that the fourth term is 12. So you're going to put a 12 here, our unknown, and then the fourth term, so 4 minus 1, and d is 2. So you're solving this, it should be a 1, my bad. It should be a 1. So solving for u sub 1, you get 3 times 2 is 6. And you can do this quickly. Subtract 6, u sub 1 is 6. So the formula that they want the explicit formula to find any term. So you're going to use that 6, n minus 1, and you're going to use the 2. They want you to clean this up. Write this simplified 2n minus 2. So 2n plus 4. That would be the formula or the rule to find any term. If you wanted to find the 100th term, you put 100 here. This next one, you're going to, because you have 2 terms and they're not in order, treat this like an ordered pair. 2 comma 4 and 6 comma 32, like we did in class. Think of the slope formula. The slope formula says the difference of the y's, so I'm going to do 32 minus 4 over 6 minus 2. So you've got 28 on top, and you've got 4 on the bottom. So m, which is really d, is 7. So now we're going to go back and use, we want to find the 5th term. So this is going up by 7. So all you have to do is take 32 and subtract 7 to figure out the 5th term. So the 5th term would be 25, going back 7. Then to find an explicit formula, you would like to do u sub n is u sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. So what is d? D is 7. We don't know the first term. So we're going to use one of these, probably use that one. You're going to write the 4 is the first term plus, use this subscript, 2 minus 1, and then times 7. 2 minus 1 is 1, 1 times 7 is 7, subtract 7. Subtract 7, and u sub 1 is negative 3. So now we know to write the formula, we've got the first term plus n minus 1 times 7, and you can clean this up. 7 times n is 7n minus 7, and these two are alike, so 7n minus 10. And this formula will generate any term. And 27 is just like 29, exactly like it except different numbers. And I'm going to just show you really quick here. This one, you've got, these are the 2 givens. Again, they're not in order, so you're going to treat it like 2 ordered pairs. 5 comma 0, 9, 16. Subtract your y's. Subtract your 2 y values, which is the 6 and the 0, over the 9 minus 5. 6 over 4 is 3 halves. Unfortunately, the d value is a fraction, or you can consider this 1.5. Now, to find the 5th term, let's just go right into the explicit formula. To find any term, it's the first term plus n minus 1 times d. Well, we're going to use this term to find the first term. Put a 0 in for u sub 5 and a 5 in for n. 4 times the d value, and bring this over, you get u sub 1 is negative 6. So now that we have negative 6 as our first term, we're going to plug the first term and the d value into this formula, and simplifying it, you're going to end up getting these decimals or fractions. And it's your choice if you want to leave it as a fraction or as a decimal. The next one, 31. 31. This is another summation problem. You are summing, this is an arithmetic series. You're going to add up from 1 to, that is a 20, hard to read. So the formula is k over 2 times the first term that you're adding to the last term. Now, how many terms are we adding? If this is 20, you have 20 minus 1, which is 19, and add 1. So you're actually adding 20 terms together. It's not always that top number, so be careful. Now, what's the first term you're adding? You're going to plug a 1 in here. So what is 3 times 1? 3, and what's 3 plus 4 is 7. And now what's the last term you're adding? You're going to plug a 20 in here. 3 times 20 is 60. 60 plus 4 is 64. And now do the math. You should get 710 for an answer. 10 times 71. Number 33. Number 33, you're adding from 1 to 40. How many terms are you adding? It's k over 2 times u sub 1 plus u sub k. When you figure out that you have 40 terms, based on subtracting and adding 1, in the first term, you're going to plug this bottom number. It could be a 5. It could be any number. It doesn't always have to be a 1. 1 goes in here. So when n is 1, 1 plus 3 is 4 over 6. So you have 4 over 6, which is 2/3. So the first term is 2/3 that you're adding. In the last term, which is the 40th term, 40 plus 3 is 43. 43 over 6. And do your math. 33, you should get 156.6. Use a calculator. Next one. Find the sum of all the even integers from 2 to 100. You're going to let's generate some numbers here. If the first number is 2, the next number is 4, and then 6, and you keep going, the last number is 100. So if these are all even integers, how many even integers are you adding together? Adding 50. So this is your k value, k over 2. And what's the first term you're adding is 2, and what's the last? 100. So this answer should come out to be, let's see, 35. It works out to be 2,550. And for 37, you're asked to add up the first 200 positive integers. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 all the way up to 200. So we have k over 2. We're adding the first term and the last term. So how many terms are you adding? 200 over 2. The first term is 1. The 200 term is 200. And this answer works out to be 20,100. Okay. The next one, number 39. A business makes a $10,000 profit during each first year. Okay. If the yearly profit increases by 7,500 in each subsequent year, what will the profit be in the 10th year? So we need a formula, and then we want to add we want the total profit for the first 10 years. So let's come up with, if it increases, it starts off, the initial amount is 10,000. If we add 7,500 to this, we get 17,500. That would be the second. And if you keep adding 7,500, that's going to give you the next year. So we could generate all 10 years by doing that recursively, but that's very tedious. So we're going to use an explicit formula, and it states the first term plus n minus 1 times the common difference. If it's increasing by 7,500, that's your D value. And if it starts off at 10,000, that's your first term. So here is our formula, but they want to know in year 10 how much, got another 0, in year 10, how much will they make? So you're gonna put a 10 right here. So U sub 10 is 10,000 plus 10 minus 1 times 7,500. So you want a calculator, 9, this is gonna be 9. 9 times
60,50.
7,500.
60,500.
67,500 plus 10,000. I don't trust myself. 77,500. This late of the day, here you go. That is what, in the 10th year, how much money the business will make. So now if we want to add up year 1 plus year 2 plus year 3, well, the 10th year we said is 77,500. Our formula for summing up an arithmetic sequence of numbers is k over 2 times the first term and the last term. Add it together. Well, how many terms are you adding together? Well, 10 years. And we started off making $10,000 profit, and in the 10th year we made $77,000. So we have $87,500, and then we're going to multiply this by 5.
400,000 plus
87,
35 plus
wow, you're
250.
good.
437.50.
Times 5, is he right? 437,500, excellent. You're good. 41.
Boom.
A lecture hall has 6 seats in the first row, and 8 in the second row, and 10 in the third row, and so on, through row 12. Rows 12 to 20 all have the same number of seats. Find the number of seats in the lecture hall, so we want to add together. Okay, so we start off with 6, then 8, and then 10, sorry. 6, 8, 10. So what we want to do is figure out, we need to know in row 12 how many seats there are, because we have to add these up. So let's, on the side here, we're going to do the 12th row. It has U sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. Thanks. So the first row had 6 seats, and then we have 12 minus 1, and how many, what's happening here is you're adding 2 to each row. So you have 11 times 2, and you're going to add 6 to that. So 22 plus 6 is 28. So the 12th row has 28 seats. So how do you figure out if you were adding up rows 1 through 12? It'd be k over 2 times the first row plus the 12th row. So 12 over 2, and then 12 over 2, plus in row 1 we have 6 seats, and in row 12 we just figured it out to be 28 seats. So 6 times, and this is 34, and you get 204 seats. Then it says rows 12 through 20, the last row, all have the same number of seats. So that would mean if row 12 has 28 seats, then so do all the rows to 20. So what you're going to do is take 8. There's 8 rows left over, times there's 28 seats in each of those rows, and that's a total of 224. So now how many total seats? You're going to add these two numbers. So this is the number of seats from row 6 to 12, and this is from 12 to 20. So if you add these two up, you should get 428. There's 428 total seats. And question 43. Almost done. Question 43. We have a ladder with 9 rungs to be built. with the bottom rung is 24 inches. So that means U sub 1 is 24. And the top rung is 18, which is the 9th rung. So that's 18. Okay, what we need to do is figure out if the lengths of the rungs decrease uniformly from bottom to top, how long should each of the 7 intermediate rungs be? Okay, so if you look at this, the first term, we have to find the D value. And what you can do is just use your ordered pairs, like I told you. So if you pretend like this is an ordered pair 1, 24, and pretend like this is 9, 18, using your slope formula, you have 24 minus 18 over 1 minus 9. That'll give you a negative 6 over 8, which reduces to negative 3/4. So what you have to do is you have to take each of these dimensions, which is 24, and you would subtract 3/4. So, I believe I have, here is what I'm going to show you. So if the first row is 24, the second row would be, you're going to subtract 3/4, or 0.7, think of 0.75 as 3/4. So if you decrease this by 0.75, you get 23.25. Then you're going to use a recursive formula to generate every single dimension size of each rung. So subtract 0.75 from that, you get 22.5, and so forth. 21.75, subtract 0.75, subtract 0.75, and keep going. And you should get the 9th rung is 18. Here is an explicit formula for that one. The first term is 24, and if you would leave n alone. So if you wanted to find any term, if you wanted to find the 5th rung, you'd plug a 5 in here and do it that way. But that's the explicit formula. The recursive one is you state the first term, which is 24, and you take any term that you want to find. It's the previous term, and then you're going to add negative 3/4. That's your common difference. That's what we did to generate, actually, instead of using 3/4, I thought it was easier to use 0.75. And that is it. I am finished. Thank you. Have a nice day.